What is up, messengers? My name is Jerome.
And I'm Z.
And we're the head messengers of Masterpiece LLC, a positive lifestyle perspective message, brand. I mean, whatever. We do a lot of stuff. We're just trying to spread our energy of trying to become our best self through a message that's just as solid as us, I guess.
Yeah, I like it, babe. It's good. Y'all, look, I'm gonna tell you, this was not the first cut. Like, we did this a few times.
Sitting here giggling.
And everything.
Z has a habit of, as soon as she hits the record button, just all teeth. She's just all teeth after that, and it's so funny to me. It's because she has a beautiful smile, of course, but it's like, as soon as she hits the button, I was just, picking with her about that. But, anyways, this is episode 3. We like to, kind of give you more insight on who we are as people. Not revealing too much because we do like to keep our relationships sacred. If you know the difference between keeping things secret and keeping things sacred, this is more so the keeping things sacred. Like, we know what to disclose to other outside sources and things, not giving other people power over our relationship or any type of leverage per se.
Right. I agree with that, babe. So today we decided to bring you guys long distance relationships, how to work through them, how to continuously work them, and how we survived ours, clearly, because we're here today, right? Still together. Working on year 8. That's true. Working on year 8, you guys. So we figured, especially with us being a couple and doing this, why not discuss, not saying we're perfect or anything at all, far from perfect, you know what I mean? But just give some tips and maybe pointers to people. It might help in relationships or other people's relationships, on what we had to do in order to be here at year 8. And what worked for us, not what worked for us. Not saying it's the rules to go by, not saying this is, what you need to do exactly. You just take what you get from today's podcast and you just turn it into your own, way of doing things. But
add your own spices and seasonings.
There we go. Yeah.
It's your recipe.
Yes. So today I have my little notepad with me. So make sure that we hit all the points that we were trying to hit today and trying to, be as clear with you guys as possible with, us. And we're going to start with the story. Okay.
What story? It's the legacy. This ain't no story.
The legacy.
Oh, yeah. And to go back on your point about being perfect, we are perfect. We're perfectly us. We're not trying to be anything outside of us. So we're being our version of perfect for each other.
Yes, that's true.
I think that's where it starts,
Yeah. That's a great way to start this.
But how did we meet? We
All right. We met in Afghanistan, Bagram, Afghanistan.
Prayers to those people also.
Yes, because we do have a lot of good people out there, good friends out there that we are thinking about and praying for. And yeah, it's a lot. We're not going to get into that on this episode, but yeah. But we met in Bagram, Afghanistan in 2000 and...
It was 13.
Was it 13?
Yeah, it was, middle of 2013, I think. It was like summertime.
Yeah.
Because you got transferred up to come work at all.
To Bagram. Right. Yeah. So we both worked for the same company. Temporarily. We both worked for the same company. Did not know each other. Actually, I think I was there first. Okay. Yeah, because when I came there, because he was the loggy. And when I came there was a different guy in his place. Not in his place, but there was a different guy there before him. But we met... and we through whatever. Do you want to explain? Do you want to get really deep into that?
No, not too deep. But I mean, it was the first time I had seen you. I mean, I'd heard your name thrown around because I was in the office with our personnel guy and stuff like that. So whenever he was doing certain reports or you made a phone call up to our little main office, I'd hear your name thrown around, this, that, and the other, and then I'd hear other guys talking about how hot you were and this, that, and the other. I was like, oh man, they were hyping you up. They were gassing. But anyways, so it turns into this thing where she gets transferred up to my base to fill in for somebody while they go on vacation. And during that time, we ended up in the same meetings for our company or contract or whatever.
Yep.
And so that's where we initially saw each other. And when I first saw her, I was just like, she all right. She got on too much makeup.
He did. He said too much makeup. Believe it or not, I used to wear a lot more makeup. And then, long story short, we actually became really good friends first. Yeah. Like, nothing else. It was strictly really friendship. And he was a great friend. Like, I would, like, always need stuff. And he, like, for instance, basically pens. He was a loggy, so pens, pencils, whatever, like, stuff like that. Like, I would need for my team. So we would go ask him. And every single thing I ever needed, he always had.
It went from pens and pencils to somehow cocoa butter, like little stuff, little oddball stuff that, believe it or not, is hard to get a hold of in Afghanistan. Yeah. But little stuff, and it just somehow, whenever she'd be like, "Hey, you know where I can get some of AABC?" You know what I mean? I'd end up having it, and it gave me a reason to be around her, and I think that kind of brought us closer together because, you know, it started a lot of sidebar conversations.
Yep. So we became friends, and then of course the relationship progressed from there, and then we actually started dating. I guess it's always weird to say dating, but I guess started dating, and then so again, to make a very long story short, maybe one day in person, like whoever really cares and wants to know, we'll talk to you more in person. But long story short, I end up going home, and he stayed overseas. Right?
No. We can't jump that far yet. Let's go back a little bit to how we actually got together. How we became you and I. How Jerome and Z got together. I was trying, like, I don't know. I don't want to say there was an urge there, but it was one of those. I didn't get deployed or go overseas to meet anybody. I had already been telling people that I'm not coming back with a wife or a girlfriend or nothing like that. I'm not out there for that. But I mean, the closer I got to her, the more I got to know her. I think I started to like her. I mean, a little bit, but it was, you know, it was never a thing. I wouldn't allow myself to immerse myself in the thought because I'm sitting here with my pride in my hands, like I don't want to be in a relationship. And then one day we're eating dinner together, which, I mean, we always kind of waited on each other to have lunch, dinner, stuff like that. So I guess that was our dating.
Yeah, that was our dating.
But one day we were having dinner together, and we had discussed our past relationships with each other and people we've dealt with and things of that nature. And she just all of a sudden was like, "Why he ain't never tried to talk to me?" And I didn't have an answer for her, and we've been together ever since. So,
first of all, he did have an answer for her, but it was some long, drawn-out answer that I was like, "Yeah, he seems to be like trying to avoid." He was trying to avoid the question, and like he put his head down and everything to his whole body language to start off. I knew I caught him off guard, right? And I knew that he was low-key kind of like embarrassed or something. Because he like threw his head down, you know what I mean? And then came up with this long explanation. I was like, yeah, he's not telling me exactly the truth. So anyways, and then he called me later. And then he explained to me, which I was like, yeah. Got him.
And we've been together ever since.
So now, fast forward. Okay, a lot of great stuff happened, so we're not just skipping through it. But like I said, we were trying to get to the point of this podcast, which is the actual long distance that we were together. I ended up going home, all right, and he stayed overseas. So from there is where our long distance relationship started. Now, being in a long distance relationship is not for the weak.
At all.
At all. This is something that basically, like, all right, starting from the top, from my notes, right? You and that person, regardless of where you're going, you need to sit down and have a straight heart-to-heart talk about what each of yours definition of commitment means.
And talk about that in depth. Like, No holds barred. Like, talk about what commitment means to you.
Yes. And the actual, I would even say the physical acts of what commitment is. Because maybe for some people, commitment is, I need to text every day, right? Mm-hmm. Some people are like, well, I don't text every day, but we're still committed. You know what I mean? Like, I would legit, if you know this is going to be something that's, for us, it was 5 years of long distance.
Yeah.
It was 5 years.
5 years.
Of a long distance relationship. Mm-hmm. All right. So this was like, this is a long distance relationship. Yeah. So you need to get into the actual definition of what a relationship, commitment is for you, and whether you even want that type of commitment.
Right. You give each other a chance to decide on, hey, look, do we want to go forward with this or not? But if that conversation isn't had, certain expectations can be put out there. And I mean, I tell people all the time, expectations leave a lot of room for disappointment. So, and I don't like people to be expecting or assuming. So I know I took the initiative to be straight up with my intent on who I wanted to be for her, because I mean, let's be real. Initially, you thought kind of it was over, like, oh man, this ain't gonna work, like,
because I'd already heard about long distance relationships, and I've never had any experience with anybody having success in it. Yeah,
and I hadn't necessarily heard of it either, but I think that in turn became an assignment for me. Like from higher up, you see what I'm saying? It's like,
I see that.
It's like, okay, you want her, you say you want her, but how bad do you really want her? And you're gonna have to perform that. And so, like I said, it became a responsibility more so than anything else, because I mean, my word and my spirit is attached to this performance. It directly is. I can't dodge that. That's just a fact. So, just knowing that, I knew if I wanted to go forward with her, I had to honor the commitment. I had to truly honor the commitment with who I was as a person. And that became a new mission for me too. So, and especially since, it's an instant win. She had not seen anybody, heard about anybody, being successful in a relationship. So why not give her the opportunity to be a part of that happening? You know what I mean? That'd be history in the making. But I guess it's history in the living for us.
Yeah. Right.
But it's just, I really wanted it. And so you have to make sure that this is something that you all want. Yes. Don't leave it out there to chance. Don't be assuming. None of that. Just, hey, you have to talk about it.
Yes.
You got to communicate it.
You have to. It is so important that you both are on the same page and that you both want it. Like, before anything else, do you both even want it, right? Yeah, you both may have a definition of commitment, but what if the other person is just like, well, that's my definition of commitment, but I'm not ready to be committed.
Right.
Right? So you both have to want it, number one. So number one, make sure you both want to do this. Number two, make sure you both lay out, your definition of commitment. And if you're not on the same page, then that's going to be the perfect opportunity to either try to get on the same page. You're going to have to make compromises and stuff like that. Either try to get on the same page, or to alleviate all future heartache, go ahead and be like, all right, we already know this is not going to work. From the jump, this is not going to work. Let's go ahead and just be friends, right?
Be honest about that too.
Yeah.
Like if that's the case, that just is what it is, rather than you and the other person be strung along, playing a character that's not you.
Right. Exactly.
Like, there's no fake it till you make it with this.
No.
Like, you have to have an intent. You have to be very intentional about who you're going to be in this long distance relationship.
That is so true, babe. Like, the intent. You have to want it. You have to have the intention of surviving it. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. All right. And that will move us more into, like, our next we have is the working towards the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. Right? So you have to know that what you're going through is going to be for the better, in a sense of it's making you both stronger.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you can survive a long distance relationship and all the temptations that may
each other.
and all the temptations that may come with it,
not leaving.
You're locked in.
You're locked in.
You're locked in because that distance is going to show so much of who you really are in a relationship, the type of person you are in a relationship.
Not even so much to the other person, but you're revealing a lot to yourself. You're realizing a lot of things, that are in you that you probably not tapped into before this happened. So, I mean, it's a chance to acknowledge a greater you and build a greater you. Just like most other occurrences in life. But in this aspect, it truly will make you a better person if you just stay committed to who you said you were going to be for this relationship.
Right. You have to be about your word. Like if you said you want to do this, if the intent is there, you gotta be a man or woman about your word. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I want it, but deep down you know that's really not for you.
Right.
Okay. So if you speak it and you say it and you tell it to the other person, like, please mean what you say and say what you mean. Like the old saying goes, right? So again, just making sure that, just understanding that this is working towards the bigger picture.
It's not a punishment. It's
right.
not, you know what I mean? It's more of a rite of passage. If this situation is going to be temporary. This long distance thing isn't going to be forever. I'm pretty sure you're going to discuss that beforehand anyways.
Right.
I don't know many people that would commit to a forever long relationship.
Me either.
But I mean, knowing that it's temporary, I mean, why not, endure that for the greater? Like for me, why not go ahead and go through this and find out who we are and really give us a foundation of who we're going to be after this.
Yep.
Because if we can be strong with 9,000 miles in between us, I knew when I got back to the house, it was going to be fireworks. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. I agree with that, babe. So yeah, definitely know that this is not forever. This is temporary. Again, if you're choosing to do this, I don't know anybody that's trying to do this like permanently. So we can't speak for permanent long distance relationships. No. That's not what this podcast is for. But those that know that this is going to be temporary, no matter how long the temporary period is, temporary still. So, and that is also a great point to bring up, distractions. All right. So our next point is you cannot be distracted, right?
At all.
And number one, people are going to think about, lusting after other people and sleeping around and, things like that. Yes, definitely. That is number one. I mean, well, depends who you are, but that's at the top of the list, but there's so many other distractions that could come with that, right? Just parties, right? Friends, right? Like things like that. If you know that, okay, you're the type of person, you're hanging out, right? You like hanging out, right? Your significant is overseas or wherever in a different state, doesn't matter, long distance, right? You know that you call a certain time every day. That's just something y'all do. Either y'all have agreed upon it or it just so happened to be around a time that you always call. It just happened, right?
Unannounced schedule.
Exactly, right? Which happened to us a lot. Yeah. Unannounced schedule, right? Then you know that if your friends tell you, hey, come hang out around this unannounced schedule, or it's around the time that you always call, you're going to have to take accountability for yourself and your relationship and see, number one, is it worth it to not call your spouse or whoever this is, your boyfriend, girlfriend at the time, or go about it in a responsible way? We're not saying you have to drop all plans and make sure you always call at the same time. No, you don't have to do that at all. But make sure that you're being responsible in the way that you communicate that with your significant other, right? So, for example, if I know with him, right, when he was overseas, that he wanted to go play basketball, right? And usually when you play ball overseas, you don't play during the day, you play at night, right? When everybody gets off work, stuff like that, right? He always calls me at night though, right? Well, he will have communicated with me prior to, hey, I'm going to be down from this time to this time. So from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., I'm going to be out of pocket because I'm going to be playing ball. Cool. I know he always calls me at 9:30. So I know now when I don't hear from him, he has already communicated with me, hey, from this to this time, hey, I'm going to be playing ball, right? Or making sure that he tells me a few days in advance, or if it's last minute, making sure he calls me before, because something can come up last minute, and that's perfectly fine. But communicate that. Don't just go MIA and then later on be like, oh, my bad, I forgot to call you. You didn't forget.
It's inconsiderate.
Yeah, that's very inconsiderate. You didn't forget. Nobody forgets when they're on an unannounced schedule or when they're on a schedule with somebody they really care about. If you really truly care about the person, you're not going to forget about them, right? So making sure that you are responsible enough to be like, all right, let me go ahead and call him or her and be like, hey, last minute, my friends asked if I could come play ball with them or go to a movie with them, whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and go. Just letting you know, and I will hit you up when I come out or whatever, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
you'll hear from me again when I'm done. That's pretty much the gist of my conversation. Like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to call you immediately after. Like, immediately after.
And you can't have no ego with that.
No,
right?
not at all.
Especially
not at all. You got to put your pride to the side. I mean, because that's not a foundation of your relationship. Pride and ego can never be that. So you can't involve that into your recipe. You gotta be able to stand firm on who you're trying to become and say, you know, it's not about that. It's about me performing the love that I have for this person.
Yes. Regardless of what anybody says or think, because you're not in a relationship with them.
Nope.
So if you feel what is it, baby? Inferior, or you feel like, oh, I don't want to tell my homeboys, you know, that I got to check in. Well, then you don't need to be in a relationship.
Yeah, you don't. Nope.
Seriously, or you don't need to have committed to a long distance relationship.
You can't say no to your friends for your teammate. Yeah.
No.
Probably not for you.
Probably at all.
Not
right?
long distance anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Not long distance. Up close
and personal, y'all might be able to work that out. You know what I mean? But that's not going to fly when you're going long distance.
Rules with long distance, and I will have to say rules with long distance relationships will differ from being able to communicate, like touch on, hands on every day. You see the person every day. Long distance stuff, you're going to have to, like I said, it's a lot of sacrifice, and there's a lot of like, you know what? I have to go out my way. I have to go out my way to make sure that I do whatever I can to make this relationship work. Of course, you know what I mean? Same thing on the other end. The other person has to do the same. So when we're talking about this, please keep in mind that we're talking that in a sense of both parties are on the same page. Okay? Because I know, you know, people might comment, well, the other person has to make sure that they're doing it. That's the whole point, right? We're not saying only one person has to do all of this. You see what I'm saying? Because if that's the case, we wouldn't have survived. Both of us were on the same page when we decided to have a long distance relationship, right? So again, you have to make sure that you're not being distracted, okay? And let's be honest with the lust portion of it, okay? So that's exactly what it is. It's lust. Okay, if you're the type of person you believe in him and you know you believe that God got you, then you need to be praying. I don't want to turn this into something religious though, right? I mean, but it's not religious because it's not religious. But you need to be, you need to be praying and just be honest with God, right? And have him help you in that because that's really the only thing you can do. And you could probably also find, you know, a hobby to do. Like when he was gone, I picked up CrossFit. That's where CrossFit was introduced in my life when he was gone. And that took up a big part of my life. Not going to get into all that whole story, but it helped out a lot. You know what I mean?
Kept you occupied.
Yeah.
Because I was going to be occupied with work regardless. So I was always going to have a set routine to do things, you know what I mean, whether she was around or not. But for her, on the other hand, being at home and having to necessarily find things to do, you know, to keep her mind off, dang, he's not here, or dang, when's he coming home, or, you know, things of that nature, things that help speed up, you know, the point to where I got to come home and actually hang out and build. So it's definitely, like I said, it's definitely something that you have to
consciously make a decision. Pray about it. You see what I'm saying? Find other hobbies, activities to do, right? Because you're just at home watching TV all day, or just hanging around feeling sorry for yourself, feeling, oh, I'm sad, such and such is gone, I don't have nobody, I'm lonely. Well, yeah, the feelings are gonna come. Of course it is. You're only human, right? We're not, knocking nobody for that. But you have to understand that you still have to do your part too, and try to make sure that you're not preoccupied with those type of thoughts, right? Because temptation is going to come. I don't care who you are, temptation is going to come. So you have to make sure that in those moments, you know how to handle yourself, and that you already built a defense, or you're working towards building a defense. Like I said, praying, picking up hobbies and stuff to do that takes your time out of just sitting around. Because let's just be honest, what happens? Stuff like that happens when a lot of people are just bored, right? They start getting bored, so then they start getting lonely. Then they start getting like, all right, well,
I'm gonna let somebody else occupy this bored time.
We're just friends.
You start growing fond of another person because you're spending so much time around them. And I've seen it happen many a time where people don't intend to, slip up, but just because they're around each other all the time, stuff ends up happening. And I'm just, I always reminded myself that this was for the house. Whatever I'm doing is for the house. It's for us, right? So I don't do anything that's going to give me energy that I can't take home. That was my morals and standards, saying that, hey, I can't take this energy to the house, so I'm not even going to partake.
Right.
That just is what it is. And I don't like hiding stuff from her, because I didn't want to be that type of husband. So if I'm trying to build that person now, and if I'm going to be true to her like I say I am, then I can't entertain certain things. I just can't. Like, trust me, I've had women make passes at me and things of that nature, knowing that I'm in a relationship. And I don't get disrespectful. That's on them. I understand that, I'm attractive or whatever the case may be. That's not my fault, and it's not my business either. You see what I'm saying? So I never made that my business. That's on them. That's their personal experience. I'm not faulting them for thinking I'm attractive, but thank you, that's not my business.
Right. Yep. So completely agree with that, babe. So yeah, just make sure that, you're aware of where your thoughts are going with this, because if you're aware, right, then you're more capable of stopping it. But a lot of times if you're, just thinking, your thoughts, it'll lead you to actions.
I don't mind. I mean, for us though, we always spoke of doing things and building things together. So, I mean, and a lot of that required thinking when we weren't talking to each other also. So it gave me more things to think about when it came to her than just, dang, she's at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whenever she popped up in my head, it's like, okay, let me make sure she got the orders right, or, she got the shirts dropped off, or let me ask her about her workout. Like, there were never really conversations of, man, you so far away, like on a consistent basis or nothing like that. It'd be like, there was the occasional, dang, I can't wait till you get home. Of course, that's going to happen. That little anxiety.
Yeah.
But, I mean, other than that, we were talking about living.
Yeah.
Like you have to keep living, both of you. And pretty much when you talk, it's story time. Both of you are leading two different lives for the same purpose, the house. And y'all need to exchange that information.
Right.
That just is what it is, because at some point you want her to have some sort of gauge of your experiences. Things that you've been through, and that gives her ammo on who to be for you. And why wouldn't you want that? It's only gonna make you stronger. And
in saying that leads us into another point, right? Being able to paint a picture of what a typical day wherever you are looks like, right? Because the biggest thing is, especially for instance, being overseas, right? In Afghanistan, you immediately go to, especially if you have not been over there. Fortunately, I had been over there, but if you have not been over there, you immediately go to what the news is showing you, right? So in your head, you automatically are like, okay, this person is in imminent danger, or, things like that. So the other person being able to paint a picture of what an actual day looks like will help ease the mysteriousness, I guess, if that's the right word, of what that person is doing, right? So, for example, you don't have to give out your whole entire schedule. But say, for instance, okay, when I wake up, pretty much getting ready for work, go to work. I'm at work pretty much all day, all right? So, say, for instance, I work from 7 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. 5 in the evening, right? So now the person knows, okay, they work 7 to 5, okay? Usually around my lunch, around his lunch, 12 o'clock or whatever it would be or whatnot, or whoever, you know. Okay, I know I take a lunch break that's an hour long. You see what I'm saying? And he'll call me and things like that, right? So typical day, when I get off, you know what I mean? I like to hit the gym when I get off, and then I go eat, and then I go head back to the room. So that's painting a picture of a typical day over there, right? Mm-hmm. So the person is not caught up on, okay, well, what are they doing now? Yeah. What are they doing now?
I can look at the clock and say, oh, okay, she's at the gym, or
exactly.
she's about to get up, or
right.
I could call, but she's in the shower.
Yeah, stuff like that, right? And like I said, this is for people who are looking to actually survive a long distance relationship. Right. Again, like we told y'all, in a normal relationship, no, we don't have to tell each other at every point in time what we're doing, what time we go here, what time we go there. No, you don't have to do that. Mm-hmm. But we're talking about long distance specifics, yes, to help alleviate, you know what I mean, like worriness and anxiety and stuff like that. Yes, it would help to paint a picture of what your typical day looks like. Now, that type of person still doesn't trust you, like, well, this, and what are you doing now? What are you doing now? That's some more issues that y'all gonna have to work out on your own terms, right? That's I don't know how to fix that in a person, right? But again, so help ease that person's mind. You know what I mean? Yeah, like he was saying, okay, I know at such and such time he's at the gym, okay? Things like that. I know he goes to the gym, 5 days a week, all right? He goes to the gym Monday through Friday. Okay, great. So I know that our time, whatever y'all have, blocked out, I know on Saturdays and Sundays, it gives us more time to talk. Or I know that he's free at this time now because usually he only goes to the gym Monday through Friday. Or whatever.
Hey, you shortened me on gym days. I was going to the gym every day in Afghanistan. Just about.
Yeah, he was. He was.
On gym day. It's cool though.
He was.
Carry on. Carry on. See,
I will give him that though. But yes, so that would really help a lot. Mm-hmm. Just painting an image.
Yeah.
On the day.
Giving somebody a picture of who you are, over the phone. I mean, and most people, they're not going to be like us. We rarely use Skype or video chat and stuff like that.
Well, we did it at first, remember? And then the service got bad.
Right. True. But, think about that. Most of them are going to be actually face-to-face and stuff
That's
like that.
That's true.
When we FaceTime and stuff. So.
That is true. When we were doing it, first we started on Skype, then the service over there got worse. Yeah. And so Skype was just terrible. So we didn't even see each other for real. We were just literally on the phone with each other. So just voices only. Yep. So now it's, Afghanistan, as we know, is closed. But what I'm saying is any other place you go to, it's easier now. You can FaceTime with each other, Facebook call each other, stuff like that, which makes it that much easier. You can actually see the person. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's a lot easier.
It is now we couldn't try to use those resources. It just... Man, you gotta understand the internet over there is like up and down.
Yeah.
And it gets frustrating, like when you're in the middle of a call and it's freezing up during something important that she's saying and stuff like that. I'd much rather just be on the phone voice calling. So
right.
And then I think that strengthened our communication too, because it made us go harder with what we were saying because we couldn't see each other or we didn't see each other.
Right.
So
it's true.
And then coming back and actually experiencing each other for ourselves, I think it made us better.
And just to give, because I don't think we touched on this, just to give y'all perspective of our type of long distance. Again, it was 5 years. Mm-hmm. He came home every 5 to 6 months for maybe 3 weeks at a time, 3.5 weeks at a time. Yeah. So total time at home, he might have been home a year. He might have came home
2 months.
2 months out the year.
Yeah. every year.
That's not a lot for 5 years. That is not a lot.
And not only that, whenever I did come home, it was a lot of running around.
We had to do. Right?
Yeah.
So
want to go have vacations and, try to catch up and get ahead at the same time,
People want to hang out with us, so that took time away from each other. But and that, there's nothing wrong with that, but just giving y'all a perspective of what type of long distance relationship we had. So it wasn't what you think, like, okay, maybe they were gone for 2 weeks. No. He was gone for 5 months, 6 months at a time. Yeah. And when he came back, it was only for 3.5 weeks, maybe a month at a time. Yeah.
And then she's got to deal with me being jet lagged,
all of that before we changed our diet to a healthier, holistic, plant-based diet. But anyways, that's more on another podcast. But so I didn't pretty much been through it all when it comes to that. We had both, because same on his end, he hadn't seen me for 5 to 6 months, right? So again, just to tell you, this is not some little, like, okay, he was gone maybe 2 weeks or what. No, these were months at a time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just a little insight on that. Just wanted y'all, because I forgot that we did not mention it in the beginning, even though we mentioned the 5 years. So I just wanted to let y'all know about that.
Yeah. So but it's worth it. Like, well, with the right person, it's worth it.
Yes.
And I think even if you don't know that that's the right person initially, if you're in that space to attempt it, it's having that experience, period. Trying to make it work will make you a better person, period. Yes. Like, hands down, like that is a defining experience for me, being able to do that and being able to say that and champion myself and saying that I've been a whole me for you. You know what I mean? Because my intent in the beginning, I told you, was to give you a version of me that never existed. So, I feel like I'm being able to do that by doing things like that. So,
thank you, babe.
Man, whatever. You okay?
But yeah, y'all. So that's pretty much kind of how we want to, what we want to explain to you about our relationship and long distance relationships in general. Again, everything is going to vary. Things are going to vary. So just take what you feel like you might be able to use and apply it to your relationship. But, put your own little twists and turns on it. And the overall, what we want you to take from this is that both parties have to want it.
I think that's any relationship, though. I mean, we're talking specifically about long distance relationships, but I think any relationship that wants to go long term, probably needs to implement some of this stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? And or at least the commitment part, where y'all have a discussion about that. Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't know many couples that vibe like you and I when it comes to communicating what we want and who we want to be in this situation.
Right.
And I think we pull that out of each other effortlessly. So, you're my teammate. I just made that up.
Yeah, so, well, we appreciate you guys for listening.
Baby. Oh, no, you got to answer the frequently asked question. You got to give facts for facts. So you got to give some facts for the frequently asked question. Okay. Which is, why aren't we married?
Oh, yeah. So everybody always asks us why we aren't married. All right, so to be completely honest with you, with everything going on, all right, I am not the type of female that I'm really into huge, lavish weddings and things like that, all right? I don't look at the wedding being the best day of my life. There's no best days of my life. There's no one particular best day of my life. I have so many, right? And we'll have so many more. Like, we just have a great life, honestly. So I said all that to say, I found that right now, for real, just having a wedding, especially with everything, number one, with him being overseas and me being at home, right? Didn't nobody want to go through wedding plans. No. Planning, like...
Not long distance.
Not long, no. We made it... What was it? The definition of commitment when it came to weddings? We were both on the same page.
Yep.
Nobody wanted to go through that. I did not want to plan out no type of wedding, right? I don't care how big or small it was. And he was the same way. I didn't want to go pick colors out. I didn't want to go pick dresses out. I had nothing in me wanted to do that. All right. Number 2, when he came home, right, we were both starting to get adjusted of living together again.
We had never lived with each other. We had been together for all this time, but we, like, when I came home for good, that's
the first time we actually
lived together, like cohabitated.
Yeah, for long periods of time, not
for a month, yeah.
Right? So we were transitioning on living with each other.
And we talked about that too.
Yes.
We discussed it, like, hey, look, we just not living with each other. And we understood that. There was no expectation of, oh, we're about to get married now.
Yes.
Or none of that stuff. It was like, hey, we understand. We have to grow some more.
Yes.
We're not where we want to be yet.
Yep. So. And then everything started happening with COVID. I mean, that right there within itself, we already know how that was with the weddings.
We actually went and got a marriage license.
We did. We were trying. We went and got a marriage license, and then, like I said, everything happened with COVID, and it was just like, okay, something else. And now we're to a point like, we're getting married, y'all. I promise we're getting married, right? I'm not too keen on having a huge wedding. It's just not, you know what I mean? I'm frugal with money anyways. I like to save. Like, I would rather spend it like maybe on a destination wedding and have that also be our honeymoon at the same time, right? So you're actually paying for a wedding and, like, you know what I mean, your honeymoon at the same time, and it's not a lot. Or even going down to a courthouse, getting married like that, and then having a huge reception, like he said. That's fine too. But like, far as having some huge lavish wedding, it's hot, right? And even if it was, the dress is hot, but even if it wasn't, like, it's too much rehearsals and just things like that. And I find that's not where my passion lies, right? It doesn't lie in the wedding. Yes, I do. I mean, I wouldn't mind having a little wedding, you know what I mean? But ultimately, like, in a sense, we're already officially, in a sense,
we're
married.
Performing. And the performance matters more than anything.
Yes.
Matters way more than the paperwork. Because there's a lot of people with the paperwork who do not have the performance that lines up with the paperwork. We have the performance.
Yes.
So whenever the paperwork gets here, I mean, it's going to be decorations.
Yes.
That's pretty much it. It's never going to supersede who we are as a couple. We've been here, we're going to be here, we're going to continue to build together, whether there's paperwork attached or not. But yes, I am going to marry you. I didn't buy you that beautiful ring for nothing.
Yes, it is a very beautiful ring.
I think we get into it right there.
Yep.
So until next time, people, we thank you for tuning in to another one of our episodes of our Freedom of Peace podcast. Z and Jerome, we are out. Together we win, people.